Life can change in an instant. For many wheelchair users, the struggle to push forward is a daily challenge.
After years of development and countless prototypes, we created Rib Grips, the revolutionary wheelchair hand rim covers with built-in ribs for ultimate grip and comfort.
No more slick surfaces, no more heat burns, just pure, reliable grip. Rib Grips, empowering you to push forward with ease. Rib Grips, get a grip on your freedom. Discover the difference. Visit ribgrips.com and use promo code GRIP today. You just found the perfect product that helps with staying cool during hot summer runs. No more gross warm water. Stay cool with this product from Gear Handle. This hydration tube cover helps keep your water cool and easily accessible. Stay hydrated during those long summer runs or even delay from freezing in the winter. Plus, they're compatible with various brands of water bladders and come in various colors. Visit gearhandle.com and use promo code H2O today.
BooBaes.
Hi and hello.
Howdy, hey.
It's me, Joshua,
And I am Caitlin.
and we're your
BooBaes.
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 Yeah,
And
I
we're
like to sing
here
that with
to talk
you.
about a boo.
A
Wait,
boo-
a movie.
Boo. We're here to give
I
a
was
movie
stuck
some
on the
booze.
booze. Oh, yeah. Literally. Oh, that has a lot of meanings. Stuck on the booze. And on the
Stuck
booze.
booze.
On the booze.
I
like
am stuck on the bottle.
liquor. Yeah.
That's right.
That's the way I'm always saying, like,
Wine
well, I'm going to take a
bottle.
little break. I don't need a drink this week. And then bam.
Yeah,
It
when I went to the
happens.
doctor the other day, he was like, "You're still not drinking as much?" And I was like, "Yes." No, but last week was my birthday.
Comparatively. I mean, yeah.
And so I was like,
Hmm.
and he was like, "No, that's understandable." And I was like, "Thank you. Thank you,
Mhm,
long baby, you
mhm.
know."
Yeah, yeah.
You
I mean,
know.
that's not so bad. As long as you're not smoking your lungs out black.
I'm not, but now I am taking Adderall.
Mm.
So I'm going to be
Yeah.
methed out.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
I was scared that I would get meth face. But
I don't
that
think it
comes
works
from
that
smoking.
way. Yeah, yeah. Well, you never know. We'll see. It might help you out. It might be like the magic wonderful pill that you need.
Yeah, I mean, I
'Cause
do have ADHD. I went through
there is
all of that really
Nothing
intense
wrong
testing.
with taking medication, you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing wrong with doing what you need to do for your mental health.
I take a fuck ton of medication. Last night I didn't take my medication, so my sleeping medication. So I didn't sleep. I was up at 3 a.m. I've been awake since 3.
Oh, seriously?
Let's go. Yes.
Damn. Okay. I think that's the Adderall kicking in now.
Oh, I didn't take that till this morning. Anyways.
Yeah. Today, guys. And I mentioned a black lung because it kind of ties in with what we're going with today. We're
You're
gonna be
so
talking
smart.
about the Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Autopsy of Jane Doe, 2016,
Yep.
right? Film. And yeah, it's one that I really enjoy. I did have someone suggest that we mention where we are watching these.
Okay. Yeah.
So that way they can find them.
That sounds like a good plan.
Today we watched this on Shudder, and
Yes.
you did as well, right? Yeah, we watched this on Shudder. I originally saw it on Netflix a few years back. I was
Yeah.
just scrolling through, and Netflix was doing a pretty shit job of updating their horror collection at the time. And so I was just going through literally every movie
Everything.
on the list.
A to Z.
And so I wasn't
So it's the
expecting
first one.
yeah. I wasn't expecting much from it, but I thought it was a pretty decent film for
We're like not a mainstream. Like
not
just
really
like a,
being hyped up before it, just being like, I stumbled
straight to streaming.
across it
Yeah.
and said, oh, hey, this looks cool. It's got a dead chick.
It's so crazy to think about how many of these don't go to theater, and it's just like straight to streaming now, or straight to like, I guess back in the day would be like straight to video, but it's
Yeah.
just like there's so many films out there
Oh,
that are
did
probably
this
really
one
good
Not
that like
go to theater? I don't know.
I don't think it was in theater
I don't
because I don't
remember.
remember any kind of hype for that.
Yeah.
And I just like there
It's got
are
some
I'm
decent
sure
names
so
in
many
it.
yeah his father. I forget his name. Stan.
Here, we'll pull up the cast list. But he was the dad in The Ring.
He was the dad in The Ring, and he
The
was
one who-
also William Stryker in the X-Men series.
He was also in Braveheart.
Bryan Singer's X-Men.
He was in lots and lots of things.
He's pretty well-rounded of an actor.
Yeah, for sure. His name is Brian Cox. He plays Tommy Tilden. Emil Hirsch plays Austin Tilden, the son. So we got a father-son duo here, and they are morticians. Yes, I was gonna say morguist.
I like that better.
That's not a
They're
word.
coroners.
Coroners.
I like coroner better.
Yes.
It has a better a better ring to it.
It's a family business of morticians, coroners, and their whole morgue and everything is actually underneath their house.
Yeah.
Which I was like, dope.
I was like,
that place got to be haunted as fuck.
I was like, I could not.
That house, cute as fuck. I love it.
Like
the morgue, also love it.
It was a really grand looking house, like old style kind of house.
Yeah.
When they would do the shots outside
like
of it.
nice little farm,
That's what I was
farmhouse.
thinking. Yeah.
And
but
then
like,
underneath was very like 70s vibe in the morgue.
dude,
and I
the
was
way
like,
I kept saying the whole time, I want to touch these walls.
Yeah.
Every wall was like different. Like there was so many textures going on down there.
I was a fan.
Yeah.
I love it.
Me too. I have a busy eye. Like I like things that look busy. Yeah.
I love how the cast list is just 10 people. So
yeah, I mean it's basically just
it is a film.
Mr. Bryan and Emil the whole time.
And then with Olin Kelly, who played
Jane Doe.
Jane Doe. She was a corpse.
Shout out to Jane Doe.
Yeah, she did a good job being dead.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, if I was an actress, and I'm just imagine like her being like, "Mom, I finally did it. I broke into Hollywood. I finally got a role. Oh, sweetie, what's the role?"
I'm a corpse.
Literally, no lines. The whole movie just like laying there, but she looked amazing.
She did.
Like,
do we rate
props
her
to her.
titties?
I was about to say, just props to her, just feeling comfortable with just like laying there, like naked for hours as people are filming around her and like stuff's going on. Like,
she's only been in like 4 films. This one being one
all
of
corpses.
Them. All of them, she is a corpse. She's really gorgeous. She's beautiful.
Yeah. So we start off the movie and there's like a murder scene going on.
Yes.
And we have the cops doing their thing, like
I
very
do like,
CSI.
I do like the good leaves rustling with the name, and then the sharp transition to what was apparently a serene scene. Just it looked much brighter.
Yeah.
Then I liked that contrast with the like loud shoomp kind of sound, and then it flips, and then we're in. It says Grantham, Virginia. We get a pan of the house, but then it's at a brutal murder scene. Yeah, CSI cops walking all around.
That's what I got. Like this to me, like this movie also like it gave me like CSI or like Law and Order SVU, but like Halloween special. Like, but in a good way, not in a bad way.
Yeah.
But because it was very much so like the first half of it was.
I mean, I'm a fan of those crime shows, so I'll take it.
And the first half of it, especially with them trying to find the COD, it's just like it feels very like policey, like, and then it just like shifts and takes this like paranormal turn.
You're like,
you're like nothing normal is happening.
Hold the fuck up. Hold the phone.
So we have this murder scene. We got coppers trying to check out the place, and they are excuse me for that. They are doing what everybody does, like placing the little numbers around, collecting evidence.
Tents.
You get to see all the not little bodies, but the bodies, and
the human-sized bodies.
And it was brutal.
Yes, it was like stomachs gouged out kind of thing, and bunch of just real rough shit. I do want to say I really liked the lack of dialogue at the beginning. It goes quite a while before we get that phone
Actual
call
words.
with Sheldon. Was that the sheriff's name?
I don't remember the sheriff.
Sheriff Sheldon, yeah. We get the phone call and it says, "Sheriff, you better get down here." And that was the first line of the movie, I believe. I didn't hear any other talking before then. So I liked that lack of dialogue. It really, I feel like, sets a nice tone, and then it's pretty serious. Because I imagine people probably aren't like going through talking their heads off at a crime scene.
It's the way I'm like trying to remember. I'm like, was there not dialogue? But I know like I was speaking over the whole time because I'm like commenting the whole time. I'm like, But yeah, you're right. No, there wasn't until that point. And then they go down into this basement and they see that there's a corpse,
rando dead girl.
I don't even
buried
want to say
halfway.
and I don't even want to say corpse. It's like there's a body.
Yeah, there's a body
that's pretty well intact. Like doesn't look like a corpse.
It's been buried in the ground too.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's like perfectly pristine looking.
Yeah, they look.
And
like
if you look at it, the layers is like it was deep in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it looked like they had unearthed this body that it doesn't look like it should be as fresh of a body, especially, and like, I mean, we get that as we get to the morgue
as we keep going
itself. But yeah, then we get the line from one of the people saying there's no sign of forced entry, nothing is wrong.
It looks like they were trying to get out.
Yeah, it looks like the people were trying to break out. And I said, not so subtle foreshadowing. But hey, sometimes those nail on the head kind of things is what you need.
Yeah, and it's not letting you like. There wasn't really kind of any guessing with this movie or like what's happening. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah,
but it's good.
I mean, at first it's kind of like until they uncover the actual story. It's
That's
like,
true.
Oh fuck, okay, what's going on?
It's the way I kind of pegged it from the beginning though. I was like, she's a witch. Like, I don't know why. Like I got two things. I was like, she's a witch. I thought she's the killer. Like she's gonna do something bad.
Yeah, that part was very clear.
Or
I thought
cult. Like I got cult vibes.
Yeah, at first I didn't get witch until the hex bag came out. But I just thought she was a vengeful spirit. Who was just, which I mean, I guess kind of technically she is. Her body was dead, but she still had brain activity.
Yeah.
So I just thought she was a vengeful spirit until like the hex bag and then all that stuff like started coming out. I was like, oh, okay.
That's called black magic.
Yeah.
Dark magic.
But then so from down there we get to the morgue and we get all the just cool. We get to take in the cool.
Yeah, the scenery of the morgue. The morgue's pretty cool looking. We're like getting to
lots of blue tones, but then like nice. There's some pretty dark, deep browns and reds in there too.
There's a lot of contrasts.
Yeah.
And I like how you said 70s. I pick up that vibe. Yeah, like it's definitely feels like it's really dated down there.
Yeah.
Like it's a time capsule.
And I love it. Would live there. And then so I had seen this before and I loved some of the corner mirror scenes. I don't know what that thing is called.
I don't know.
It's just that mirror that's placed on the corner of like hallways and stuff.
Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about now. I was like, what? I didn't understand.
It's typically in like hospitals and stuff like that, so you can make sure you're not going to run into someone as you're like rolling a body or something down the hallway is what I imagine they're mainly for. And so like whenever they did this first pan in on the corner mirror, I was like, yes, that's like a subtle nod to one of my favorite scenes. But then they really kind of go overboard on it. We're like maybe 10 minutes in at some point, and then we've already got like 3 pan-ins on that same mirror with really nothing. So they're kind of faking you out a lot.
Foreshadowing, setting up, kind of, because I mean, they do come back.
A lot of just really blatant foreshadowing again.
This movie loves a jump scare. This movie loves a jump scare.
And I thought they did a good job.
For most of them.
With them. I didn't think any of them were really
The first one got me.
It's
when she comes up to him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, we then go to the morgue and we get them in action. We've got Austin and Timmy, right? Is that his name? Or is it Jimmy? Tommy.
Yeah.
Austin and Tommy. They're working on a burn victim.
And she looks pretty gnarly.
I put crispy.
It's graphic. It's pretty graphic, you guys.
Yeah.
If you don't like, seeing like pretty graphic, like I don't want to say bloody, but like they just look like they're dead.
They're
in brutal ways.
Coroners. They're slicing and dicing.
Yeah, and that too, taking out body parts.
If you got a weak stomach,
squeamish,
not the movie for you. I put, thank God I'm not eating oatmeal, and then I put, psych, it looks exactly like the strawberry jelly on my fucking burnt toast. So
yeah,
I made myself a little like, but
I was eating too while I was watching it, so.
I liked the transition though there, because then they're kind of like jamming out. It's like you can tell that like
they're not fazed by this.
Yeah,
like, they're used to it.
This is their normal everyday life, and so they're just going at it. And I liked that transition to kind of that more upbeat atmosphere.
Yeah, and then also as they're looking through the burned body, it's kind of giving Tommy's like, it's like a teaching moment for him to Austin, and
Austin.
And also it's just like it really sets up the tone of like the cause of like your first, what you think the cause of death is not always probably the cause of death, because there's always something like secret or hidden, or you got to really like.
He has a line that says, everybody has a secret. Some people are just better at hiding them.
Exactly, yeah.
And so
that guy's cause of death was not being burned. He hit his head, and then that's why he died. He had a subdural
hematoma.
That's what it was.
And so they found that, and then they were like, oh. So we get, and also it gives me the vibes that he's essentially prepping his son to take over the family business. And as we see a little bit later, Austin's not necessarily wanting that, but I feel like a lot of that was maybe some pressure from his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Because it was clear that he enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like had a, not like people who get into be coroners and stuff, they have a certain fascination with it.
I'm sure you have to like it somehow, because otherwise who's just there slicing up bodies?
Like a sort of passion, because otherwise no sane human being is just going to be like, yo, let me chill with this dead body for 9 hours as I
a corner shop. I'll just try that out for a few weeks. That's cool.
No,
yeah.
There was at one point when Tommy leaves, he says to Austin, he goes, hey, do you mind locking up and stuff? Are you good down here? And I was just like, I could not. No way in hell would I be down there by myself. Absolutely the fuck not.
Yeah, I don't think I could be around dead bodies like that all the time. I don't think it's like more of a scared thing. I think it's more of like an emotional, like mental thing. Like I just feel like I couldn't handle.
I mean, yeah, you would be constantly thinking about death.
How these people die. Yeah. And I was like, yeah.
And as Austin is, he wants to know why this happened to some people. And his dad keeps telling him like,
it's not the why, it's the how.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And that's all our job is to figure out. He says, leave that stuff to the sheriffs and to the shrinks, he says. And so he's just saying, keep it pretty logical. We can't really afford to get some sort of an emotional attachment or anything to these victims.
It's just another body. It's just like, and it's also like their job, like you said, it's like, is to, because in a way they're like honoring these people, like to try to solve like, this is how you died kind of way. And it's like a disservice, I guess, if they try to like spend too much time or like delve deep into one body, because there's so many other people that are dying that need this. So, like, you know, so yeah.
They gotta keep them moving.
Yeah, like a factory.
Yeah, for real.
And so yeah, they are just kind of chatting, right? They're talking.
We get
they kind of get like a look into like their not daily lives, but like what they do there. And
then Austin is talking about how he's gonna go take
plans with his girlfriend.
Yeah, go to the movies with his girlfriend, and then he asks his father, when is the last time you saw a movie? And he says some girl with Alzheimer's, and he's building her a house or something. And then he was like, The Notebook, which I thought that was a pretty funny thing. But it's super important because it gives you it's the first kind of mention of their mother being, or Austin's mother, Tommy's wife, being deceased.
Because he's like, I took your mom to go watch it, right? Or something
like that. And so you can tell that like they're not talking about her in a present tense. And so that was like one of the first mentions, and then we don't really get the full story until later on. But it's, I feel like, kind of important, I guess, to note that maybe I don't know.
And it just builds more to the character, and like whenever we do find out that she's dead, like how much he's still like not really okay with it. Like the dad, Tommy, he's still kind of grieving.
Yeah. Because it's only been 2 years, so we find out. And I mean, 2 years to get over your lifelong partner.
Get over it.
Well, that's basically what Emma says at one point.
Yeah.
She's like, it's been 2 years. And I said,
Billy Loomis.
Fuck up, shut the fuck up, Billy Loomis. That's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
I was like, do not be, Anyways,
I love how right after this, there's a scene with, I forget what Austin's doing. He's doing something, but then the cat comes in.
Oh, yes. But before that, the dad goes to leave. He does go out. And I think that it's important to note, like, so he goes past the elevator and then he goes to the other way out, which is through essentially a storm cellar door.
To the outside,
which is going to be a big part of this film. And I put even there, I was like, that's a sketch ass way to get out. Like, nah, fuck that.
Yeah. Only 2 exits.
Yeah. And one of them being something that could possibly
malfunction, the elevator. Yeah.
And malfunction
the cellar door.
Door.
Apparently there's a big sycamore.
Yep. And so essentially, again, they are underground. It's setting the scene. It's letting us know, like, it does a good job of setting the scene and letting us know, like, the different rooms. And the fact that there is only those 2 exits. But yes, then the kitty comes in. I put, a kitty.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I said out loud. His name was Stanley. Yeah. He's such a cute kitty.
And is bringing a present.
Yeah, it's a little dead mouse.
I think it was rat.
Oh, rat. It was pretty big, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah.
That was a rat. The tail was like a lot thick.
And then Austin's just like, Dad, Stanley found another one. And I was like, look, he's just giving you presents.
Yeah. And I think it's like, that's what they think you're hungry. So they're like trying to feed you. And because they think you're starving because they never see you hunt.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's actually a really special
like
sign. Yeah.
It's like, I bought your snack.
Yeah.
Here's your chicken nugget.
And they're always like so proud of it. And so it's a good sign when your animal brings you that. I would be very upset. But it is.
I just imagine like having to pick that up.
He picked it up with his bare hands, like willy nilly. And then I was like, well, I guess he does like literally play with people's intestines. So I guess
for me, it was like, it would be like a trash bag on my hand, paper towels, line up a bunch of paper towels over it so I don't have to feel the body of it. And then
it was like anytime I had to pick up vomit too, I had to get so many paper towels so I couldn't feel it.
Oh, I know.
I feel the warmth.
I know what you mean.
Anyways.
And so
but now we get your first
scene, and then we have a jump scare with the girlfriend, Miss Emma. And she got me.
I put dick ass girlfriend scared him.
I know.
It was funny. Because it really does a good job of leading you up, and you're like, oh fuck, is something gonna happen?
Yeah.
And then it's again, I've said it many times before.
Fake out.
I love a good silly jump scare where it's not something scary. Because then you're just like, oh, I can't believe I just jumped at that.
Literally.
It wasn't even a ghost.
I yelled at the TV. And so, Emma comes. That's his little girlfriend. She, I guess they're at this point, why did she show up? They were supposed to go out to the movie. That's right. I'm so sorry.
The movie.
They're supposed to go watch the movie. But then
she starts exploring.
She goes into the coroner's room where all the dead bodies are.
Yeah, and she says, "You visited me at work, so now I get to visit you at work." And he was like, "You work at a bookstore, not in a room with fucking dead bodies."
It's
He's
and
trying
it's
to
the protect her, and like he doesn't want her to like see something that she shouldn't see, or she thinks she's ready for it, but she's not. And
can't unsee.
I'm just like, this girl want to see a dead body.
Yeah, she did.
I was like, what does she got? Like, she have like, all the thoughts were running. She's a necromancer. Oh my god, she's necrophiliac. Oh my gosh, what is she?
I feel like
she wants to do it over the dead body.
Oh, okay. No, I just got that she was curious.
Nah, it's just my mind was
because I feel like if I was in that situation, I'd be a little bit curious too.
I'd want to see it.
Yeah, I would want to see it. I don't know if I'd want to uncover like someone whose face was blown off. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Anyways, so she's going and she's saying, I want to see one. And Austin's like, no, like my dad's pretty strict. And then all of a sudden Tommy's back down there and he's like, try me. And so he's essentially he's being a fun
and he's egging
dad.
it on. Yeah.
And he's just like,
wants to give her a good little spook. And it's the way that he keeps making these silly faces and like.
Yeah. He was just having a good time. And so I thought it was a kind of fun scene. And so they end up opening one of the doors. We see one person that has, they died of some sort of.
Oh, the older lady?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I don't know if it necessarily.
It's something with an M, but I don't know.
It was on the tag.
Oh, it said it in the I saw it in the subtitles. They said it real
okay.
fast, but
Got
I don't
it.
remember what the fuck it was.
But then she's like, I don't want to see that one. I want to see the one that's in here.
And well, this lady's eyes and mouth were sewn shut, which is, I guess, is that something they do?
Maybe they did that there. I don't know about that, but
yeah, because it didn't seem like she was like, the thing that they said sounded natural.
all of our coroners and morticians and morgusists listening, please let us know if that's a normal thing that you do.
Because I guess if you're gonna, I was thinking you would only do it if you were going to maybe cremate, but then why the fuck would that matter?
Yeah, because it's gonna burn
Unless they had to remove
stuff from her.
I don't fucking know.
And it's an open casket. I don't know.
Maybe it had no relevance and it was just to make the movie spookier.
Yeah, it was.
That could be it. But yeah, she says, I don't want to see that dead body. I pointed to this one. And Austin had intentionally picked
the one next to it.
Yeah, because
he knows what was in that one.
This body was pretty roughed up.
It's the way that the whole time I'm like, I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see it. And then, so it's a body and they're trying to tell her that like this guy shot himself in the face. And so.
But then really he didn't. He was actually poisoned. And then they attempted to make it look like he shot himself. But then they found as we said, everyone has a secret. And he found the trace of strychnine in his system. And so it showed that he was actually already dead before his face was blown off.
And someone tried to make it look like a suicide.
Yeah.
And that's the way she's like, but why would someone do that? And once again, he's just like,
we don't do that.
Yeah.
He said, you sound like your boyfriend here. But this is one of my favorite parts, I think, throughout the whole film is I guess back in the day before they had really good ways to tell whether or not somebody was actually dead, like kind of like a Romeo and Juliet.
Or someone comes back alive.
Fogged mirror kind of thing. Yeah. They said it was really difficult to tell between a comatose patient and a actual dead person. So they would tie a little bell to the toe in the event that it started moving again, and it would be like, ring, ring, I'm still alive.
I should have brought a bell.
Bring out your dead.
I love the bell sound.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was a wonderful...
great way to play up in the movie, like, and to build, like, drama and anxiety and, like, induce, like, all these feelings in you when you start hearing that later on in the movie because you know what it means.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was a very, very nice point.
It reminded me of a little kitty.
Yeah. And then we get another jump scare, which is Emma is her name, right?
Emma, yeah.
She's going to reach for
the blanket to take it off to look at the face.
Yeah, because they were like, take it off, let her look at it. And just as she's about to lift it, the dad shakes the bell and it scares her. And I don't think it scared me, but I do think that was a funny little jump scare.
Yeah.
Because I personally, we know that I don't like sunken in faces. And so I was like,
anything with a mushy face.
Do I want to see it? I don't know.
I wanted to see it. So we don't get to see it, you guys. Not just yet. And so, that's whenever we have, I think Sheldon, right? Sheriff Sheldon starts to come back.
Yeah. So Austin and Emma are going to leave. And then Sheldon comes down wheeling a body. And I put here, I was like, that elevator looks sketchy as shit. But then they got in. I love
elevators, by the way, that have like a fucking
those little cages.
Those cages, gate, whatever, like very Titanic. Like I don't know why. And I've never been in one like that. Really? But I want to.
There's a few around town.
Really?
That are still operating that are like that.
Take me.
Okay. But yeah, I realized later it was just wallpaper, but I thought at first it was like peeling rust, like when there's just rust and it's too patinaed and too old and that like the metal original coating starts flaking. That's what I thought it was whenever they passed it the first couple times. And then they got in. I was like, everything else looks so cute. And then that elevator looks sketch as shit. Yeah. And then they got in and I was like, it's just
like some tetanus.
Nice little, wallpaper. And then so they're going upstairs to leave, even though like his dad said, it's okay, you can go, even though a fresh body was just rolled in. And this is where you can kind of tell that Austin has a soft spot for his dad because, if you have a nice, healthy relationship with your family, that's a normal thing.
Yeah.
And but this is where we get a little bit of the tension between Emma and maybe the dad, because it sounds like he's supposed to go off with her to do something, to not be here. I don't know if it was college or whatever, but not college because he was drinking age and everything. So I don't know, but I guess maybe just leave this town.
Yeah, go live life, a different life.
And so, but then that's where Emma says, like, he doesn't need your help anymore. It's been 2 years. And I was like, bitch, do not suggest that dad needs to be over his wife's death in only 2 years. Losing your lifetime partner is not something that you just like bounce back from. I don't care. And then especially one that died of suicide.
Oh, yeah. She's just like, I mean, her vibe is very like, I mean, she's self-interested. Like, and just,
a little bit was not mad.
Like wanting to, make a life of her own with him, but more so for her, not necessarily like thinking of what's best for her boyfriend.
I feel like she was putting ideas in his head and was like, this is what you want, but it wasn't what he wanted. Yeah. So anyways.
That's what happens.
But this is where he's like, you know what? I really need to be down there with my dad. Come back at 11, which is a really important part. Come back at 11 and then I'll be all yours. We can go catch a late showing. We can grab a drink at some place. And so that's when I was like, okay, maybe not college. And then also he's like a certified
coroner.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't know.
He had to be in like his early 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah. 23, 24.
And so, but come back at 11. I put, well, she's going to die. Yep. She's going to die at 11. But
on the dot.
So then we go back down to the
basement.
Yeah, and we're there with Morgie. Oh, cute. What's fucking Tommy and Sheldon are looking at the body. He's bringing him down. And then we get a lovely pan in on Stanley going.
Yeah, Stanley knows what's up.
And I was
Stanley
like,
the kitty.
As my faves on Two Girls, One Ghost always say, trust your fucking pets. Trust your pets. If that cat knew that something was up, it was like,
They can sense evil.
Fuck this shit. We out.
Yeah.
And Stanley's saying, we gotta get the fuck out of here. What are you doing?
Get her out of here.
And he said, man, he's been grumpy as of late. And I was like,
or he keeps getting grumpier or something like that. More testy.
And I was like, no, Stanley is sweet kitty. I also just love that he has like a little old man name.
A little Stanley?
Stanley.
It's cute.
It's cute. It is
cute. A cute kitty.
This cat stole the show.
Well, and as we know, you have a soft spot for cats.
I do. Yeah, a little bit.
You love cats. And so, we have the body now, which we get a good shot of her again. And, man, she's pale. She is white.
She is. She looks
ghostly.
Porcelain.
Yeah.
It's just,
which I'm sure is what they were going for, but it's just like, man, and it's the way that throughout the whole movie though, like, did you notice she kept losing her whiteness, like her paleness, like she was getting warmer colored?
I think because quite literally, I think she was coming back to life.
Yeah,
I think she was draining life. But or at least that's kind of what I got from it.
Yeah.
Anyways, but I did make a note that the soundtrack is fun here. I really like the mix of upbeat music, and then of course we know that I'm a fan of when we've got a really happy, seemingly happy song that's
the one that kept playing over.
Yeah,
the Sunshine song.
Yeah, I call it the Sunshine Devil song.
Yeah, it was you let something let the sun shine in, and we keep playing on the radio, but it was
saying
like
nothing but don't frown, and it mentions the devil in there at one point too.
Daddy Satan.
Yay.
And so we have them kind of going over the body already. It kind of just jumps in, right?
Yeah, and they're filming for, I'm assuming, what is legal purposes. I'm assuming maybe
personal purposes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be for teaching and instructional purposes. But I feel like it was probably, especially because it was a crime scene thing, they have to film it to make sure that nothing is botched or just no foul play comes in. However, it would have been great if they could have had some nice evidence of what the fuck happens, but that does get destroyed. So,
the camera. Yeah, you're right. So they're going over the body. She's like colder than a normal body. She has no rigor mortis. So they're just noticing like they're trying to place basically like how long this person's been dead, because the deputy sheriff Sheldon told them that she had to have died like that night, right, or like a day or within the day.
Yeah, they were assuming that she was murdered at the same time
at the crime
but
scene.
then he had also said maybe someone had dumped her body there because someone else, I think he said, was like came in and possibly killed all of them and dumped the bodies. So he wasn't really sure at this point, and he was really relying on Austin and Tommy to make that call.
So like the ambiguity was like really high. Like they were like, I don't know, it's vague. She could be a week or 3 days, but I mean, I don't think anybody assumed when we find out how long she's been dead.
Yeah.
How long she's been dead.
But
they're just looking at her, and from the outside, she looks okay.
It looks like maybe she just died in her sleep.
Other than like when they roll her eyes open or like her lids open, she has gray eyes.
I like throughout this entire scene too, Tommy is still instructing and teaching because at one point Austin's saying subject in her mid to late 20s, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like, appears to be. We always say appears to be because nothing, as we turn out, especially nothing is as it seems. And this is clearly not a normal dead body. I like when he opened the eyes and then the dad looks and he goes, oh, was not expecting that.
Literally.
I was like, that's kind of funny.
They're great.
Because, it was weird. And then they keep, as they're going through and stuff, her wrists and ankles are completely shattered. If when he was pushing on her ankle and you could just see the bone shard, I was like, ugh.
At first I thought like, oh, there's something in there. And then he's like, no, that's her bone. And I was like, oh, ew.
I thought maybe at first it looked like it was just like mushy, like her skin was like super elastic or something. And then you see the actual like shape of something under there. And I was like, oh, and then he said like her bones and her wrists and ankles are fractured is what he said. And then Austin comes back and he goes, no, those are shattered.
Like legit.
And but then we get the first hint as to where she is possibly from, because there is peat under her nails, both her fingernails and toenails, and it's all in her hair. And they said like she was buried in it. I don't necessarily know what peat is. I'm guessing it's some sort of soil, a specific
that's what
kind.
I'm thinking, like for gardening or something.
Yeah, because he said you could get it at the hardware,
some like a garden
nursery,
store,
a nursery.
Yeah,
I was like, I know there's a fucking word for it.
And I love how they kind of give you context that he knows what he's talking about, because earlier in the film, when everything's kind of starting, I think, or some point, they're doing a shot outside of the house, and there's a greenhouse. Did you notice that? There's a greenhouse.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he knows his plants and all that. Yeah.
He's an all around really smart man.
And so they have, they find it, and he's like, well, she either is from up north or from, like that nursery kind of thing. And
someone went and bought this and buried her in it. And he was like, but the only place it naturally occurs from around here is north, in the northern area. And so then they're, continuing to go through. He opens her mouth and we find
a fly. No, I'm sorry. I'm jumping the gun. That's her tongue is cut off. Yeah.
A crudely severed tongue. Because he goes, maybe Austin is saying maybe she overdosed and bit the top of her tongue off.
But it's the way that it was like.
Yeah, he said it was serrated.
Yeah, there we go.
And there was actual like lacerations, and it looked like, I don't know, like a marbled steak.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's what it looked like to me, because
it did look funny.
Yeah,
I remember I was making a comment on it too, but I can't remember the comment.
I guess I've never it was like it was dried or had been cut off for a long time. And it was weird. I don't know. But yeah, pretty creepy. And so
it's the way that a lot of this is like we said, if you're squeamish, like maybe don't watch it, but also do watch it.
Oh, maybe he said, ooh, I wasn't expecting that to the tongue.
It was at some point he did say that out loud. Yes.
But so now they're coming to a little bit, they're trying to figure out, like, was she possibly a victim of human trafficking? And because they were saying, that.
Well, and it's because they also too, like, they're, before that, I think before he says and goes into that, right, I think it's because that's whenever No, you're right. Yeah, because
They're
he's talking
about
about the case where he had these girls that he like was working on their bodies, and their wrists and their ankles were tied together,
Yeah,
and their tongues were cut out,
so they couldn't scream
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. So he's saying, he's seen something similar before, but he is still acknowledging the fact that it's pretty fucking weird that no outward signs of, she has all of these internal energies as injuries,
yeah,
and energy.
She's quite literally cut the fuck up.
Yeah, she is absolutely destroyed.
Yeah,
but her outward appearance looks flawless, and so it's just very puzzling.
Yeah, she's like a cake. She's like a layer, because every time they would like cut into something else or be delving deeper and deeper, it's like another thing. Like, oh, they did this to this, they did this to that part.
Yeah, it was a lot. But then now we get
the buzz.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, they're what's his face? Austin is like, I forget what he's doing to her body.
He was trying to take a photo of the severed tongue.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get a little drop of blood.
And the nose starts twitching.
And it's fresh blood too. And so you're like,
that shouldn't be happening.
This bitch is dead and has been apparently dead for a little bit.
A while. And so yeah, at first it's the way that the nose is twitching. I'm like, oh shit, she's not dead. And then you realize there's a little fly coming out of her nose.
Yeah. And then then right after that, they pull out a string from her throat. And I put, homeboy's got to be having flashbacks to the ring right now with the fly coming out of the nose and the nose bleeding. And then the string coming out of the throat.
That's all from, that all happened in the ring.
I guess the thing in the throat was that
the girl, the cord.
I always, for the longest, literally up until
we had watched it,
I thought it was fucking hair. I thought it was Samara's hair forever. Yeah. And then we watched it and I was like, oh no, that's one of those little electrodes
that they stick on the little round thing and goes into your head or body or chest.
I don't actually know what they do. I don't know.
It's just the monitor. They monitor.
Yeah.
It sends feedback.
And so I just thought that was funny. I was like, look at all these little, and I don't know if it was intentional, but it just definitely reminded me of the ring. And so, but we hear on the radio
that there's a bad storm.
Well, it actually said we're supposed to have good weather all this week.
Oh, that's right.
And it says just like, no, like we're going to have fine weather. It's going to be great and everything. And then all of a sudden, though, you hear thunder. And so that, to me, I'm still a little bit unsure if she fabricated that whole storm and like edited the radio coming through, or if she really did alter the weather and that actually happened. But no, she must not have, because it says we're going on our fourth straight day of sunshine. So she's
altering their minds
here. Yeah, that she's fucking with their minds. And you don't really, I guess, know that yet.
Until the end.
Spoiler. And also that the little mention of good weather is a pretty small moment. Like, unless you're actually paying attention, you're going to miss it.
Yeah.
And so,
like the way I did.
Because then they will start talking about a storm. Yeah. And so she must be altering the AM, FM.
I didn't catch that. I must have been talking over it. I didn't catch that. Part where they were like, we're gonna have clear weather the whole time, because then I just remember the next time I hear the radio and they're talking about the storm.
Yeah.
And then at the end, when he's like, fourth clear day, I'm like, oh wait, none of that was real.
Yeah. It was all fucking fake.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy.
Cray. And so it's the way they're looking at her body still. The fly came out, the little string came out of her mouth, and then she's also missing her back molar.
Yes.
Which they realize she's missing her tooth. Which they did have separately, right?
They find it later.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But right now they're on the human trafficking track. Yeah. And so they're looking into her vagina to see if there's any vaginal trauma.
She's torn up in there.
Yes.
I remember he said that.
They said it was like deliberate cuts, which is just
like
excruciatingly
painful to think about.
Yeah.
Just to think about that.
And he was like, taking swabs and everything. And it's just like, ugh. And then this is where we get the first crackling of electrics too. The lights are kind of starting to flicker. Things are not And I guess you can assume at this point it's because of a storm.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, a storm's rolling in. They're underground in a clearly dated facility.
It's probably not the first time it's happened.
Yeah.
Kind of situation.
Because they just kind of...
They're like, oh, the lights, go check the breaker box. Like, yeah.
Yeah, they just kind of look at it and they shrug it off.
Yeah.
And then this is where we get with the AM, FM radios changing. And I put, like, we don't fuck with that. We don't, When that shit starts changing, you get the fuck out. And that's when it changes to that fucking creepy-ass Sunshine Devil song. And...
yeah, it does. And then I think at that part... that's whenever the dad gave the dude Austin that vial of blood, and he goes to take it to the fridge.
Yeah, well, I think he cuts her open.
Yeah,
he cuts her open, and then he collects the blood from. And even Austin, because before Austin said anything, I was like, I'm pretty sure dead bodies aren't supposed to like bleed.
They're not supposed to bleed like that. That's
heavily. Right. And it was weird because you notice like he cut her. He did that first Y, and then the first half of the Y, and then he did the other half, and that's when all the blood went bleeding out. And so it was a delayed kind of reaction, and it was like, ugh.
Yeah.
And then
I like the scene of the blood draining out and going into that drain though. Yeah. That was pretty cool. It gave me very Blade vibes.
Yeah, I can see that. And but then Austin says, do bodies normally bleed like that? And then he collects the blood and he goes and puts it in to the
fridge. And it's the way I was thinking, like, he just put that right next to his Coke and like sandwich, like right next to, like, no, so nonchalantly.
You're just gonna eat my blood sandwich.
And then we realize that the blood is spilling. And
and so the father, Tommy, says, because Austin says, do bodies normally bleed like that? And he was like, well, it's not impossible. And he said, occasionally, if it's a very fresh corpse, like dead, maybe 1 to 2 hours, when you do that, it's like pressurized essentially. And so then the blood just kind of goes out of it. And I was like, she's clearly been dead for more than an hour or two though.
And that's the case that they know that she's, wasn't just murdered.
Yeah.
At least to them.
Because they found her body like
at the crime scene
kind of this morning, and they've probably had her now for at least an hour.
Some hours, yeah.
And so it's like, I don't know.
I feel like that gets rolled out very fast.
Yeah.
And so.
But yeah, all the blood leaks out of that vial.
Yeah, Austin's looking and he's noticing that there's blood like dripping out of the bottom of the fridge, and then he opens it up and it's so bloody in there. And it's the way that, like, I don't even think there was that much blood in that vial.
I know.
But I wondered, like, was it like it was acid blood or something? Because it ate and corroded through like the bottom of the vial and like just got everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the way it was funny to me because it looked like he was like trying to keep his dad talking and like clean it up so he doesn't notice that like
I got it.
Yeah, literally.
It's fine. But then we get to the mention of her abnormally small waist. And this is the first kind of idea of how we get how old she is, because they said maybe it's congenital, or he said if you wear a corset long enough it could do this to you. And Austin goes, well, haven't corsets been like retired outdated, essentially for a few hundred years? And which is not the case. I mean, there are plenty of people who still wear corsets.
I've got one on right now.
But I think this was intended to show you just how old
it ages her.
This curse could possibly be. And then we get that fucking rib cutting scene.
Yeah.
That was
that's some good meat.
It looked like the fucking big old hedge trimmers is what it looked like. And then he's just going in there and just
through the rib cage.
The sound and then the face, like
through all the bone.
Because they really kind of pan in on the father's face as he's doing it, and you can see, like, whenever you're trying to cut through something relatively strong, and then that like snap, and where your body kind of jolts with it. Yeah. It did a really good job of showing that, and I was just like, ugh. And then like at one part, I think the whole breastplate just kind of pops off.
The practical effects on this movie is really good. Like from the beginning to like when we saw those first couple bodies like in the morgue, and then like her body and all the stuff that they end up doing to it and pulling out of it. Yeah. Really good.
They did. And but anyways, yeah, that scene kind of got to me. I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
But this is where we see those
lungs.
Severely blackened lungs.
Yeah, and they're like, whoa.
Like a little blackened tilapia.
Yeah, and they're like, what the fuck?
And he says she could have smoked 6 packs a day for 30
plus
years.
And it would never look like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said with lungs this black, you would expect her to be covered in 3rd-degree burns and like just massive amounts of smoke inhalation. And he makes the comment, which I really liked. It says, this is essentially like finding a bullet in a brain with no gunshot wound, which is, which I guess is not entirely impossible. Like one could have healed over it. I'm pretty sure that's a thing. If like you survived, I'm pretty sure there's been stories of like people living with bullets lodged in their brain.
What?
I'm
sure they're not like they have. Like, how does your body not even like have like repercussions? Like,
I don't know.
Like just living normal, weird. Like just living normally.
You know, I don't feel informed enough to tell you.
That's the way I'm about to like. Okay, all right, we'll Google.
But I feel like I have heard cases before of.
I mean, I know that like
kind of the thing,
or like bullets getting stuck in people's bodies.
Yeah,
lodged.
But yes, I imagine with the like metal and
it's
lead,
so weird. That's like
is there lead in bullets? I don't know shit about
my
that.
My dad was in the Vietnam War and he got shot with shrapnel.
Ouchie.
And or like someone got shot next to him and like all the shrapnel went to him. I don't remember, but it's the way that I mean, I was still young, so probably like in the early 2000s, like his body was naturally pushing the shrapnel out. So like
trying to get
and the impurity
it's
out
like,
after
this
all
is not
those
supposed
years.
To be here.
And so he would show me and like literally like his leg would just start to create like a little hole.
That's so
and like
wild.
I know, yeah. And then like the metal would come out and he'd like dig in there
it's
and
like when
pull
your
out
body
the metal. Like a splinter or something. Yeah. But with
How
metal.
Interesting. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was really weird. They would look like little like and also they look like little like metal pearls. Like they were like round and like pressurized. Like it was weird. He would just pull them out and they look like little BBs.
How fun? Not fun, but how interesting. That's very interesting. Damn. But moving along, her internal organs we find have also been all cut up. She's got like significant scar tissue
everywhere,
which you can see, like, you know, if you've seen someone who's got a lot of cuts on them or something, or was in like a bad accident, something like that, where they've got plenty of little minor cuts on them that well, I guess weren't minor, because if they scar the way and push up like these ones did, that must have been a pretty deep wound at some point. And so she's just cut the fuck up. And
and it's the way that then Daddy Tommy is like, whoever did this like really wanted her to feel like suffer. Yeah, like she was tortured. And then he asks Austin. He says like, what would she look like? Like, given this... Her state on the inside, what would she look on the outside if it were to reflect that? And he was like, she would be, like, mangled. Mangled and disfigured beyond recognition. Yeah. Which is, it's... Ugh. It's just insane that she is... It's so... Torture is the reason for the season. But then we go out and we've got... Austin's going to... Oh, there was some loud banging. Yeah. Happening, and so he's going to investigate, and this is where we get the first creepy shot of her standing in the corner mirror. He like sees something her and he's like, what the fuck? And then he goes around the corner and nothing's there, but he keeps hearing we've got a really nice kind of eerie and spooky, and it's building a lot of suspense, because we're looking through kind of each door, and we're not sure, but we're still hearing a sort of banging, and you're just kind of holding your breath with anticipation to be like, oh fuck, okay, when's it gonna pop out? When's it gonna happen? And then her bones, like her fucking ribs or something, cut the dad while he's digging around in her. But then Austin walks into this fucking dark room. It was pitch black in there, which he then turns on a lamp. But I was like, but they're in the basement. There's a storm going on. The lights are flickering. Pull out at least something. A flashlight. No. I don't know. But yeah, so he goes and he turns that on though, and he's hearing something in the air vent. And so something was moving up there, and it kind of spooked him. At this point too, in between that, isn't that the dad cut his hand?
Yeah, that he cut it on her bones.
On her bones. Yeah. Sorry.
And then, but yeah, so he's looking up there, and he's standing on a chair because how else are you gonna reach an air vent? And but yeah, he's looking in there. He's really listening in, and you can tell they're trying to really draw you in at this moment.
They want you to get scared.
Yeah. And then something's like kind of scurries past really fast, startles him, knocks him over, and then he looks through the like shelving and he sees a human, and then it turns out to just be his dad.
Yeah.
But I wonder if at first it really was.
It probably was.
Yeah.
A daemon or something.
A daemon.
The witch. And so there, he looks back into the air vent, the shaft, and it's
we hear a little whimpering.
And it's Kitty.
It's Stanley. Poor baby.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about this part.
Stanley was, I guess, attacked or like somehow like receiving these.
He was like gutted.
Yeah.
His inside. It looks like he got like bit by a dog, and they
thrashed it around.
Yeah. He was pretty fucked. Like there was no saving this pet. And so Dad has to break his neck, which,
sad to see.
Yeah, my head like physically went like, I couldn't watch it.
I bet.
It was just so sad.
The poor baby, and then it's
He kind of wastes no time putting him right into the oven.
Right into the I was about to say kiln. Right into the what's it called?
Crematorium.
Yeah.
Where they cremate
the oven. Yeah.
I just called it an oven.
Yeah. It's a kiln basically.
Yeah, I mean it basically is.
And so yeah, and that's the way I'm like, oh, that's the way he burned his wife. Like
I feel like it had to be because he was so mechanical.
Yeah, and then he's like, I need a moment.
Yeah,
I need a minute.
Because I was like, this has got to be some sort of trauma or shock response right now. And then I was like, at least he asks for a minute. Because I was like, damn, Dad is like he's a little too logical right now. And I guess I can probably understand too why he didn't pick up on maybe his wife's suffering.
Yeah.
A little bit later too, because he is we're just looking at the facts.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Analytical.
And we're not asking all the questions. So, but yeah. So then at this point, Austin had left and he's going back, and the morgue doors, like that hold the little bodies, normal bodies, have opened on their own. And Austin's like, that's weird. That's
not normal.
And the lights have gone out again. We're going to die. But then we get here Dad did spook me when he came in. He was like, what are you doing? And I was like,
it's a jump scare.
It got me a little bit. Yeah. He's like a ghost. He just pops up. And so it's like half the movie is just his dad scaring the shit out of us.
Everybody.
But then we could roll credits because they then go back to the autopsy and he goes, this is stage 3 of the autopsy of Jane Doe. And so we got our title card.
Literally.
And I was like, yeah.
Finally.
Nice. But they're continuing to cut through her. And they find something inside of her.
The flower.
Yes.
I forget the name of it.
Jimson weed.
There we go.
And it's a paralyzing agent. But, I mean, who the fuck's using flowers to paralyze people? It sounds like a very 17th century thing to do.
Yeah.
But not a...
Because like this day and age, it'd be like, there's a roofie in her.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Or strychnine or something.
Yeah.
And so, but they pull out an entire flower and...
Still intact. Just like still, And I think it's the way that... Is that when it's mentioned like her acid should have like, her stomach acid should have... So this and the peat means this is, again, another thing that comes mainly from up north. And then they continue digging and, they find a little baby hex bag inside her. I'm not exactly sure where they pulled this from. I don't know if it was her stomach or if it made it to her intestine at this point. I think it was stomach because that's when he starts saying like her stomach acid should have like ate all this up.
He was like, it's really amazing that it's still intact.
Perfect.
And so inside this hex bag is her missing molar, and it's basically just like a printed cheesecloth at this point, and it's
a little
got
shroud.
some weird not engravings,
like,
but
ritualistic like letter marking.
Yes,
like
markings. That's the word.
Something. Yeah. It's like in a different language, but not.
And they are seeing. It's it's like a puzzle. It has certain Roman numerals and words that aren't quite lining up, and they're like, what does this mean? And so they kind of just, they look at it a little bit, but they kind of
and that's at that point too, where I even was just more like, okay, I'm getting cold. Like, she was a part of something she probably shouldn't have been a part of. Like, what's happening?
And they're saying this looks almost like it was a human sacrifice. Well, essentially all the hoops they had to jump through to do all this shit to her, because this was with intent. Yes. Yeah. This was not like, oh, let's just willy-nilly do something to this bitch. Like, no, they fucking fucked her up.
They wanted her to suffer.
And then we get another changing of the stations.
Yeah, the radio station.
It's some sort of
it's so creepy
song or a like a sermon almost, and it says like, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's when pretty much Austin's like, and then it goes back to the creepy Devil Sunshine song.
That's right.
And Austin's pretty much like,
and the radio's fucking creepy, and then that's when all the lights turn off, right?
Yeah, and there's more talk. Oh, it wasn't a sermon. It was them talking about the storm. It was them talking about the storm, and they're saying
we're not as it's worse than we thought it was gonna be, or something like that. I guess we never imagined it turning into this. Like,
if you better not, like, if you're at home, do not leave. You're not going anywhere, is what it said. And then it switched to the Sunshine song, and so it's like, oh, this was clearly a sign. And so he, at this point, is like, Dad, we should just go.
Yeah.
And then he was like, no, Sheldon needs this COD by
tonight.
The morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have to finish this. And he's basically like, we don't quit.
Yeah.
Once we start this thing, we've got to keep going through it. And so this is where they find that the entire inside of her skin, her epidermis,
literally,
is etched up. It's filled with the same markings that were on that hex bag.
Which is so good. I don't know how you do this. Like, it's magic. Because, like, how would you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally witchcraft.
Yeah.
Black magic. And so I personally feel like it was probably those cursed, like those markings that were keeping everything inside and making her body appear normal.
Yeah.
And I guess essentially kind of healing her, but also not. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But at this point, they're starting to ask a little. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
They were just starting to ask a little too many questions. And so then casually, all the lights explode. Shit starts hitting the fan.
Very quickly.
We're getting, into the meat of this film.
Because the lights turn off, and then all of a sudden you just hear like all these like little doors slamming and opening, and then they're like, I love how
the lights
like, what
literally explode. All of them. So they're like covered in glass, and I imagine there's got to be some sort of, at least some sort of pressure, because they're not, they're not little circle lights. Like, they're those big fucking sterile
lights,
panel lights. Yeah. And they've just exploded. And then, you hear all the doors opening, and you're just like,
you're just like, what the fuck? And then the character, even Austin, is like, what the fuck? And then he gets up, and like they got a little flashlight, and he's looking around and just noticing that all the doors
and
to
the bodies,
like, they're gone.
Bodies are missing. So that's like, oh fuck.
That's when they're finally like, okay, let's go.
Yeah. And so I think the dad says, let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, let's get the fuck out.
And at this point, we get some really awesome flashlight / first person POV shots here. I liked it, kind of like on VHS 94 when we were in the also a funeral home.
Yeah.
We were in that scene where
it was reminding me of this one. Yeah. And there was a storm.
Yeah. Kind of the same. And so that same scene where she's walking around with the flashlight, and I said like, oh God, or the camera, because it had the light. And I said, I felt so helpless because we were just there.
Yeah.
And this one does a good job of, I feel like, also putting you kind of in the film and making you be like, oh, fuck. Because when you can't see and you're just relying on a little thing of light, it's scary.
Well, that's this point, it's because you just know, like, man, these people are going to die. Like, I'm about to watch a murder.
Yep.
And so that's whenever they try to get out, they're making their way downtown.
They are walking so fast.
Pace is past, and they're homebound.
They are.
And so
except they're already home.
It literally.
And those faces are coming for them.
They get to the cellar doors, right?
Well, they go to the elevator first because the generator whirs on, and
the
backup generator, and but it's not enough to power the elevator.
Yeah.
But then yes, they go to those cellar doors, and that's when they find a sycamore
tree
has
fallen and is blocking the exit.
And they cannot get out. So they're hearing thudding coming from the morgue room. And then this is where we get the fucking bell ring.
The bells, yes, because
so
they're
good.
Just there in terror, and they're like
and
hearing
it's
a
not
noise.
It's just like
I love how it's faint.
Ding. Like it's so spaced out, and then it's very faint, like it's because
it's getting closer.
And this is a corpse walking towards you, so it's not, these things aren't moving like fast, like they're just.
And I love how he finally looks underneath the door, and then sees the foot.
Yeah. So they go. Yeah. Ugh. Yep.
And I'm like, they're zombies.
It was. I did like that scene because it also, again, it puts you like you can't hide your eyes. It takes up the entire screen.
Yeah.
His view sight under the door. And
gives me like very signs.
Yeah.
With the aliens sticking their fingers underneath. But he sees that, freaks out, of course, and then like
who the fuck won
but like a moment later the door starts banging, and so they have to like put a big old file cabinet to block the door. And they're
freaking out. They also can't get a hold of anyone at this point. They've already tried, and the storm has made the storm has made the phone lines impossible. Yeah.
And it's the way that then Timmy's in the restroom while Austin's there having like this little monologue of like, I wanted to leave, we should have left, like this is
and he sees a figure behind the shower curtain for kind of a minor jump scare because he's like, Dad, and then Dad opens the shower curtain, there's nothing there.
But
so
then
it's like,
Dad gets attacked.
Yeah, something like pulls him in and slams the door shut, and you just hear, from Austin's point of view, you hear, we get to a little bit see
what's happening. Is literally getting thrown around.
He's
the
getting
walls
the shit beat out of him.
Yeah.
And then as Austin is finally allowed in, he's talking with his dad and like checking out his injuries, and like it looks like his ribs were fucked up.
Yeah. Got some internal bleeding for sure.
Yes. And then he says it had her eyes. And so this is really at one point I guess this is where Austin finally like really says, I told you we need to get out here. And I was like, boy, this is not the time for I told you so's.
Yeah.
Like your dad just got
seriously
fucking beat the shit out of, and it's like, yeah, okay, well clearly, we tried, but it seems like no matter what at this point, you were fucked from the beginning.
They would have never
made it out. Yeah. And so they were just talking about like this shouldn't be possible,
and then, like they're basically, the son's like, everything that is happening is not possible, but it's happening, so obviously
we are way past possible.
It's her, and we need to go take care of it. And so
and they finally leave the room. They've locked themselves in I'm assuming their dad's office. But we figure out that, I don't know what his name was, I just called him Gunshot Johnny because
the face dude.
Yeah, because he was walking around and they saw that it was his little face covering that was on the ground. And then we also know it's him because of the bell. But then they get back into the morgue and they realize everything that they had taken out of her, because, they're like taking out her little things. It's all rapidly decomposing. Now that it's not inside her body anymore, it was just like, it looked like it had been sitting there for months.
Yeah.
It was nasty. It was pretty gross. But then she locks them in. We get a little bit of the dad mentions, let's get her to the crematorium.
Yeah.
And then
I want to burn her.
Yep. They get locked in and they can't get out. I guess the door only locks from the outside, which makes sense. And so now they're kind of fucked. And yikes. And we get a kind of a here's Johnny moment with a axe to the door.
That's right, because he's axing the door up and then he looks through it and it's the lady who had her eyes sewn shut and her mouth sewn shut.
I was really hoping it was going to be Gunshot Johnny since I called it here's Johnny. But yeah, then we get that sewn face, and that part was kind of comical to me. I did laugh a little bit.
It did scare me.
Yeah, and when she screamed and like, oh, but it did look gross. It looked like, like when you chew gum for too long and it's like, that's the way her mouth pulled through the stitching.
Ugh.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It was really gross.
But yeah, it's the way that they're locked in there now, so they're just like, fuck it.
Yeah, they literally are like, fuck it.
He starts dousing like her with gasoline.
But then I was like, we learned this in the taking of Deborah Logan. We don't burn bodies just randomly inside.
Like, yeah, no, you don't do it.
And then y'all are going to be stuck with her.
Literally. And it's the way that I thought, like, man, this is their downfall. Right now it's happening. But anyways, they set her on fire. And it's the way that her body just like turns into like a supernova.
Yeah,
like, just starts
goes
burning.
Up to the ceiling,
and then the ceiling catches on flames and everything around them. And
they have to
fire. They have to get the little extinguisher to like put all the little witch smoke fire out.
With that amount of fire, I was just like,
I thought,
is that extinguisher gonna do shit?
How are they even going to?
I feel like no.
And she didn't burn.
Yeah, she didn't. Everything said and done.
Her hair didn't even singe.
Yeah. During all of this fire, too, we get to see that conveniently all the evidence is destroyed. So all of the photos showing her being cut open, anything like that, were burned. The video recorder was completely burned. Anything like that. Yeah. There's essentially no evidence that they even opened her up. Yeah. As well as we find at the end. But yeah, no evidence left. And yes, of course, she's fucking fine. And then we hear the elevator ding, and I was like, that's true. Time for the girlfriend to die. Because I was like, I know this bitch came back. And then so they're running, they're trying to get out. I had forgot about her, and so whenever they're running and they're trying to get to the elevator, because like the elevator's working, so they finally get to it. Trying to get in, of course, the cage is like not closing, because that'd be too easy, right? And then it's the way that while this is all happening, they're getting stalked and chased down by the dude with no face. Yeah, or what they assume. Yes, who they think it is, and because they're hearing the bell walking towards them, and that's what they're seeing. Yeah, because this is where we get to see his face, and it's pretty rough looking. Bashed in, pretty rough. Shot in. Yeah. And so it's the way that then Dad Tommy is like, well, fuck it, like I'm tired of running, like I'm just gonna, and so he gets the axe from his son, and he's waiting for the zombie whatever dude with the shot in to come up, and as soon as he like hears someone like right there in front of the elevator, he just swings. And so sad. Yeah, it turns out it was she Ellen. Was making them see shit, and yeah, it was Emma, and it was Ellen DeGeneres. But yeah, dad killed Emma. It was pretty sad. Austin, it was pretty sad to see Austin like break down. Yeah, because he was like, oh shit, and he just kept saying like, oh no, and then it was nice to see the dad cry there, because so much up until this point he had looked very just like, again, robotic. Yeah, not almost as if he was devoid of emotions, apathetic. And so I could see that. It was, in my opinion, really nice to see that side of him. But then they're like, well, shit, we need to get, the elevator started working again a little bit, enough to where they were like, we need to get inside. And so he pulls Austin inside, and then, of course, they only make it like half a bit up before it stops again. And so they're kind of stuck inside there. And we get to see a little bit more of the dad's wounds. His side is fucked up. Yeah. He's got some really intense injuries on his ribs. And then we get to hear the story of the mom. And he was saying that he always called her Ray because she was a ray of sunshine. And but then he was like, if I would have known that she was suffering, I would have, helped her. But he was like, she always seemed so bright. And I was like, yeah. Unfortunately, that's how it goes a lot of the times. The people who act like they're the happiest are the ones who are 2 seconds away from killing themselves. Anyways. Yeah, and so after this whole little heartwarming scene between dad and son, that's whenever they decide like, we're gonna go finish this. Yeah, because they're like, why hasn't she killed us? Yeah, and it's because she wants us to feel what she's feeling. And so the dad's basically like, we have to go through with figuring out her cause of death. Like, we have to figure it out. Yeah, again, that's the only way it'll stop this. We don't stop when we've started something. And then at this point, we also get a little view of the crematorium turning on, and so it gives us a nice smoky atmosphere. like Scream. I put Silent Hill vibes.
Yeah.
Essentially, we can't see.
Yeah.
We can't see anything. So, I mean, at this point, yeah, like I would just keep going to cut her
again.
up too. But yeah, I would have been holding hands to not get separated. They were just like, well, let's just walk right into this smoke. I was like, no, no, you cannot do that.
A lot of choices there.
But they end up getting kind of separated, yeah. And then Dad gets the shit beat out of him again.
Yeah.
But they do eventually make it back into there, and that's when they're like, we need to keep digging, essentially.
And that's when they start to get into her skull.
Yep. Ew.
When they pulled back the scalp and like that and put it over her face, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, it was
And then
gross.
when they started cutting into the brain, I actually thought it was pretty cool though.
Yeah, it's mainly the skin flap that kind of freaks me out. And when they put it back on, it looked like a wig. Like it looked like how you put
a toupee,
a wig on. It didn't look fake, but it's just like the way that it settled on her scalp again. It looked like how it does when I put a wig on. I don't know. But gross.
Yeah, and it's the way he gets like he cuts her brain and gets like a little piece of it and puts it in a little
slab of meat,
little dish, and looks through it and through a telescope, right? A microscope.
Yeah, microscope.
And that's whenever he can tell he's like, there's activity going on here. Like the reason she's not. We can't find a cause of death is because she's still alive.
Technically dead.
Yeah, she's still alive.
There's brain activity.
Whenever the
occurring.
sun is like, her heart is literally like outside of her body. How is she still alive?
And he's like, well, there's some energy that's keeping her going. I put that's some demon shit.
Yeah, literally.
And so then this is where they put together Austin kind of accidentally folds the cheesecloth,
that's right.
the shroud thing.
And it's a Bible verse.
Yeah. It's
Leviticus 24:27 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's 20:27.
20:27.
And then there was the Roman numerals, it said 1693. And so this is where the dad gets the Bible. And of course, this is a verse about being a witch.
A witch.
And 1693, she's from the north. We've got...
They put it together. They think she was part of the Salem witch.
Salem witch trials. Yep.
And
she's
even
the
dad's like, there was not even a real witch in the Salem witch trials. It was just young girls who were falsely accused and
wrongfully murdered. And so then this is where Dad starts putting it together, and he's saying like, would a ritual performed on an innocent create the exact thing they were trying to destroy? Because she wasn't hung or burned alive at the stake or drowned like many of them were. She had all of these other things
done to her. Yeah.
And then now what they did to her is in turn keeping her alive. So that way she can torture
other people, kind of get her revenge.
As revenge. Yep.
Curse.
And so they're going through, they're kind of figuring out the dad's ribs look fucked. Again, he pulls up his shirt and it is just black. And I was like,
yeah. And it's the way at this point that dad knows that like, we're not going to get out of here. So he tries to like bargain with her.
Yeah, he does.
Over her body, and it's just like, please don't hurt him. Just take me. Do what you want with me. It's fine.
Yeah, I like the way that he also, when Austin goes, why would she do this? Why is this happening? And then he says, we were just in her path.
Yeah, we're just pawns.
Yeah. And so unfortunately, wrong place, wrong time. And yeah, he's like, we're fucked. We're actually fucked. And he was like, she's not going to stop until, and then he goes off and Austin's like, until what, Dad?
Yeah.
Until what? Like, fucking say it. And I was like, it was until y'all are dead.
And that's whenever the dad is like, do what you want to me. And then she kills, like she starts getting all this. I'm assuming
he's having some sort of cardiac arrest.
That's what I thought too, because of, I guess, but all of her like wounds and stuff are getting inflicted on him at this time. It's basically transferring all of that to him. Yeah. Because she's healing as he's dying, like feeling everything that she felt. His bones are snapping, his wrists are snapping.
Oh, that
his eyes are turning gray like hers.
Yeah. And he's basically like at this point Austin has realized like, oh shit, something's happening. And
the dad starts to beg for a mercy kill.
Yeah, he's trying to reach for a knife and he's like, please just kill me. And so as all this is happening too, her body is sealing back up. And it's just like a little zipper. And she's just going right back together.
Her color, her eyes are turning less gray.
Yeah, they were brown. And so I guess she was like coming back to life and draining their life, making her come back, or I guess just essentially getting power. And then Yeah, so he kills his dad, or Mercy
stabs
kills
him. Yeah.
Yeah, and I put literally, I would want to be dead at this point.
Yeah.
If I were Austin, like I would just look at this bitch and be like, "Fucking kill me."
Yeah, and
right
there's
now.
no other. I mean, yeah, and it's the way that at this point he starts to hear, right?
Yeah, he hears Sheldon yelling.
Sheldon yelling like, "Hey, I'm up here at the cellar door. We're gonna get this tree out of the way. We're gonna come get you."
Yeah, and at this point, I was like, "He's not really there." I think I knew that the first time. I was like, "Ah, fuck, this is an illusion."
And so then we start hearing him sing that song again, something about "Come let the sun shine in."
Yeah, because he's saying like, "Open the door," and Austin's like, open it, and he's like, I can't, and he said, "Open it up and let the sun shine in," and it goes into the song, and it's like, ooh, fuck,
not over yet.
And that's when Austin was like, "Oh no!"
And then he, and there's a little foreshadowing of a little banister that's like broken or damaged or not working well, and he hears a little bell and he turns around and it's his dad behind him in this newly ghost dead body form,
and it scares him and he falls back and breaks his neck. We love good horror film where literally no one survives. No one is alive. I mean, the cops
the
are,
way,
but
he would have never, and yeah, because at this point I'm like, the son is going to get blamed for all of this, like if he would have stayed alive, like the murder of Emma, his dad.
Yeah,
like there's no explanation. Like, how do you explain any of that? Yeah.
And so but man, Austin was so damn close, but
and then that's when you get to figuring out that like
this was the 4th straight day of sunshine.
The storm was never real.
And it was all a giant hallucination.
Yeah. And that would explain why like they ended up killing Emma, because they thought they were seeing. Because at that point too, I'm like, why wouldn't they hear her being like, "Hey guys, hey, where y'all at? Hey, it's me."
She was manipulating their surroundings so much that they
didn't even register. Was her.
I mean, they honestly could have been dead from the beginning. Who knows? And like all that wouldn't have been possible, but it was just all in their head. Yeah. It's wild.
Like most things are.
Yeah. And so then Sheldon comes in, they're going through the body, like through it, and the woman is saying like, "You know what this looks like there's no signs of 4th century, blah blah blah." And he's like, "I've known this family for 20 years.
It's whatever it looks like, it's not what it is." Yeah.
He's saying that there's no way that Austin killed his father and stuff like this.
And so that's whenever she's like, "Okay, well, we'll just take this corpse to some," and he's like, "Get this corpse out of my county."
Yeah, get her out of my county.
Let someone else deal with it.
I was like,
yeah.
And then then we get to see she's completely healed again. Everything is back in its place. They pan in on normal. Her, and I was like, now she gets to keep killing.
And that's why I was like, she's just gonna keep going on. And then it gave me very like Samara Ring vibes again.
Yeah,
like she's just gonna keep killing.
And I do like the last little scene of where it just kind of pans down over her body, and then a little bell jingle with her toe moving. Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, that was good. So that is the Autopsy of Jane Doe. What? How many boos would you give this?
I'm going to give this rating of 3.5 boos.
3.5? Okay.
It was solid.
Yeah.
It was solid. I mean, I was thoroughly entertained. I never really quite felt like it was cheesy or cheap or like trying too hard. It was a different kind of idea. I'd never seen anything like that before.
Yeah. I think that's what I liked so much about it. The first time I saw it.
It's an original thought. Yeah. Like I feel like, oh, cool. Like I've never seen anybody do something like that. So it was really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think I might give this one a 4 because I really did. I really enjoyed it the first time I saw it. Like I remember telling multiple people to go watch it after I saw it. And yeah, I just, like you said, it was a pretty new idea. At least I felt for me, and for a movie that I just stumbled upon, I was pleased. I was like, damn, this is good. Yeah. Same way that, like, I mean, that's what happened with The Ritual and everything too. That was how I just kind of stumbled upon that one.
Yeah.
On Netflix at the time, but now we watch this one on Shudder. But yeah,
shout out to Shudder.
I would give it a 4. I also did have some people
leave some comments. Yeah.
Yeah. And so one listener, Malin, a dear friend of mine, she said she saw it and she thought it was really good overall. And she said she would give it a 4 out of 5 boos because it was overall pretty good. She said, I remember feeling a tiny bit let down by the ending. And also that bitch killed an innocent cat, and that's not cool.
Oh, Stanley, R.I.P.
Yeah, she was like men, like kill men to come back to life, whatever. But that cat didn't have anything to do with it. And I was like, you right.
She's right.
Yeah, poor Stanley, R.I.P. Pour one up for Stanley. But yeah. So that is
the autopsy of, and it's the way that I want them to come out with like a prequel, and it's like the killing of
something
Jane Doe.
that like actually gets her.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of like this. Just
the autopsy of Jane Doe, the killing of Jane Doe, and then the last one, the curse of Jane Doe.
Okay.
I can see it all. Yeah.
I would still watch those films. I think I am highly satisfied with the idea that she just gets to keep killing them.
Well, because see, I could see it like, I could see, and so I could see the second one being the prequel of like how she got this, like the sixth, like a period piece, like the sixth, like the witch trials, that, and then leading into even at the end of that movie, cutting to what happened in the scene before this movie started, like the crime scene, and then her ending up in there, like, and that's how we start. And that one is starting of the first one.
I would watch that.
And then the last one, the curse, is like what happens after she leaves this place and going to the next county, and it's just like batshit crazy.
I would watch that. Okay, get on it, Hollywood. Come on. God, we give you so many good ideas and you never listen.
Yeah.
How rude.
Once again, you're in the lovely Rogue Media Network studio.
That's right. They always take good care of us.
Very well.
They get up at the ass crack of dawn on a Sunday.
We are on, stream us, please, wherever you'd like to stream your favorite podcast.
You can find us on so many platforms. The main ones being
Apple
and Spotify. That's right. And if you're listening on there, please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe, because that's literally the only way we can go anywhere.
Tell us if you love us or if you hate us.
Yeah.
But really just more so if you love us. Yeah.
We're sad people. You can also find us on exactly one social media platform if you want to let us know how you felt about certain films. That is
at BooBaes Podcast.
That's right. It's on Instagram, and that is all
one word. BooBaes, BAES, not a babes, because we're your BooBaes, not your BooBabes.
That's right. And I think that about covers it, huh?
Yeah. I loved it.
That was fun. Good.
Well, until next time.
Yeah.
Bye, Baes.
Bye, Baes.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.
Why don't more infant formula companies use organic, grass-fed whole milk instead of skim? Why don't more infant formula companies use the latest breast milk science? Why don't more infant formula companies run their own clinical trials? Why don't more infant formula companies use more of the proteins found in breast milk? Why don't more infant formula companies have their own factories instead of outsourcing their manufacturing? We wondered the same thing. So we made ByHeart, a better formula for formula. Learn more at byheart.com.
Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.